All right, if you've ever tried building with AI, you know that making it smart is one thing, but making it reliable, that's a whole different ballgame. Today, we're going to dive into the key to that reliability, context engineering. It really is the secret sauce that can turn a pretty good AI into a truly great one. Let's get right into it.
So tell me if this sounds familiar. You've got an AI agent, it's brilliant. You give it all the information it could possibly need for what's basically an open book test. You set it on a task, and it completely messes up. It is so frustrating, right? It feels like you're dealing with a genius who somehow missed the most obvious clue in the textbook.
But here's the twist. What if the problem isn't the AI's intelligence at all? What if the real issue is how we're presenting the information? See, the problem isn't the student, it's the open book we handed them. Maybe it was too messy, poorly organized, or just plain confusing.
And that brings us right to the heart of it all. This is context engineering. You can think of it as the art and science of carefully, thoughtfully preparing that book. It's about being incredibly deliberate with the instructions, the data, and the tools you give an AI agent for any given job.
The whole game here is about balance. It's a classic Goldilocks problem. If you give the AI way too much information, it just gets lost in the noise, completely overwhelmed. It can't find the important signals. But on the flip side, if you give it too little, it's forced to guess, and that, of course, leads to mistakes. Context engineering is all about finding that perfect sweet spot right in the middle.
So how do we actually do that? Well, our first set of techniques is all about creating a solid rulebook. This is what's going to guide the agent's behavior right from the get-go.
I want you to think of yourself as a teacher standing in front of a class. Before any big test, what do? You lay down the ground rules. You tell the students how to behave, what tools they're allowed to use, how to format their answers. We need to do the exact same thing for our AI agents, and we do it using something called a system prompt. And just look at how simple this is. These are just plain English commands, but they have a massive impact. We're defining the agent's whole personality, be helpful, while also setting these non-negotiable rules, like always ask clarifying questions or specifying exactly when it should use a particular tool. This basic rulebook is your first and best line of defense against unpredictable AI behavior.
Now, rules are great, but you know what's often even better? Examples. This is where a powerful technique called few-shot learning comes into play. Instead of just telling the agent what to do, we actually show it a few examples of the job done right.
The real key here is to provide a good mix of examples. So you give it a really straightforward case, like a simple question and answer. But then you also throw in a tricky one, something that requires a totally different approach or tool. This is what teaches the agent to be flexible, and it keeps it from getting stuck in just one pattern of thinking.
Okay, so we've set the rules. Now we need to manage the information the agent carries with it. I like to think of this as packing the perfect backpack for its journey.
This analogy is just perfect. You see, AI models have a limited attention span. We call it a context window. If you try to just cram everything you can think of into that backpack, you're just going to overload it. You got to be ruthless. Pack only the tools and info that are absolutely essential for the task at hand.
And this leads us to a more advanced, but super important concept: dynamic context. A really great agent doesn't carry everything all at once. It's more like a chef. It should retrieve information just in time, pulling ingredients from the pantry only when the recipe calls for them. This keeps its working memory clean, fast, and totally focused.
Now, for an agent to be truly smart, it has to learn from its experiences. This next part is all about building a long-term memory that actually allows it to improve over time.
So as a task or a conversation gets longer, the history can easily grow bigger than the agent's memory limit. The solution? Teach it to summarize. As you can see in this example, the agent can take a long interaction and just boil it down to its essence. It then saves that summary. This way, it remembers the key points without getting bogged down in every single detail.
Okay, this next principle is absolutely critical, especially for all you developers out there. An agent's history should be what we call an append-only log. That means you only add new entries. You never, ever go back and change the old ones. Why? Because this is crucial for debugging. If something goes wrong, you have a perfect, unchangeable record of every single step the agent took. It makes finding the source of an error so much easier. You don't rewrite the past, you just add to it.
To give our agent a truly unlimited memory, we can let it use an external notebook. And really, this is just a simple text file or a database. Here, you can see the agent is writing down its main goal for the day.
It can refer back to this node at any time, which gives it a persistent memory that goes way beyond its limited internal context window.
And here's the most important part. That memory has to include failures. By logging that a payment failed because a credit card expired, the agent actually learns a new rule. Hey, next time, I should confirm payment details before I try to book. This is how an agent genuinely gets smarter and more reliable over time, by actually learning from its own mistakes.
Okay, we've covered a lot of different concepts, so let's put it all together and see what a really well-engineered context block looks like in practice.
This is what it all looks like when we put it together. This structured context block combines every single thing we've just talked about. We've got the system prompt defining its personality. We have the specific task it needs to do, the tools it can use. We see its recent actions, including that critical failure it needs to learn from. There's a pointer to its external notes file for long-term memory, and it all leads up to a clear, actionable to-do list. This right here is the perfectly packed backpack for our AI.
So, look, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Building great AI agents isn't about just dumping in more and more data. It's about being thoughtful, being selective, and being structured. It's about clarity and efficiency over just raw volume.
Ultimately, the performance of your AI is a direct reflection of the context you give it. It's only ever going to be as smart, as reliable, and as efficient as you engineer it to be. So the real question isn't about the AI's potential, it's about yours. What are you going to teach it to do next?